So we'll dive in. How is spring? Or have you recovered from spring?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, as much as one can, especially because like I think spring ended. We had all area. I had to go to a wedding in New Jersey.
Whoa.
And then I came back, finished all area, and then it's like summer practices started like that week right after I finished. So I've been going to like 2 or 3 practices a week. Um, I
Okay.
four, hit four this week, so that was a lot, big climb. Yeah, because they're off next week, so I had to go like to stuff
Yeah.
this week to write for next week.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you pack your
but
sunscreen?
I did not. But the good news is I wore a sun shirt on Tuesday, and then
Yeah.
yesterday I don't think I got burnt.
Oh,
Um,
I forgot mine yesterday at Clay Chalkville. My wife let me know as soon as I got home. She was like, "You forgot that sunscreen, didn't you?" I said, "I sure did for like the eighth time in a row." I never remember it ever.
yeah. Well, I've been freaking bug spray.
Yes.
The bugs are out this year, and
Yes.
if I could show my legs, there's a few. There's more than a few on there.
Yeah, it gets rough out there. So what all practices have you gone to? Where all have you been so far?
So I started down at Susan Moore over in Blount
Okay.
County. Um, they were the third seed in the region last year. I think they with a freshman quarterback who stood out. I think
Wow.
they'll take a step. Then I moved up Sand Mountain and I've hit Fife and Geraldine, and then Collinsville, which I guess is technically right off Sand Mountain. I
Okay.
hit them Tuesday for an OTA with Gadsden, and then I've hit Sandrock, and then the other day I hit Asheville and Cherokee County.
Wow. Who was the one before Cherokee County?
Asheville down in St. Clair County, North
I
St.
know
Clair County.
Asheville. I've always liked their green color scheme over there at Asheville.
I do. I like it because it's also like the green and orange. It's different. It's unique,
It's different.
and you see so many teams that just kind of rip off either maybe a
Yeah.
another high school thing,
Mm-hmm.
pro or something like that. And it's
Yeah.
nice to see like a unique color scheme. It's Asheville when they walk in. Sometimes you're like, oh, like I don't
Yeah.
want to. I love Gordo, but like you ever see Gordo, you're like,
Yeah.
they're the Green Bay Packers have
Yeah.
arrived.
Specific. I've got. Well,
Uh,
you can't see it right here. There you go. There's my G right there for the Packers.
yeah, as I say, like my brother's a Packers fan. Once saw them, I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what? And he doesn't follow it as much, but he saw it for whatever reason, and he was so confused. I'm like, hey, dude, you gotta realize like they all are
Yeah.
borrowing
Oh
from a
yeah.
pro team or college team, but it's nice to see Asheville's uniqueness.
Yeah. There's this school. It must be like a St. Clair County thing because I've thought just like color scheme wise, like I mean, maybe I'm just totally forgetting people, but at least up in our area, like that's kind of how I feel about Springville with the like purple and yellow a little bit. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't see that a bunch in high school, or at least I don't think I do.
no, I really like. I think I want to say, is it Jackson down in South Alabama that's purple and
Jackson and
yellow?
South Alabama, yeah,
And
because
maybe
the
I know Pleasant Grove has purple. I don't know if they're. I think they're just purple. But
purple.
I do like I like the uniqueness when you can kind of find something unique. I know it probably does not help with like uniforms and all of that. Like I went to a high school in Maryland that was navy blue, and we were wearing Penn State uniforms basically.
I,
Um,
that reminds me, stay on that. So yesterday, I mean, I've told you about the stuff I'm working on with Clay Chalkville this year. And so I went to the weight room session yesterday morning and then to practice after. They had an OTA against Austin, actually. And after they do like their weightlifting session in the morning, they just do like half an hour or something like that lifting. And then they go to team meetings, so like the position group meetings. And I've wanted to sit in on a position group meeting with the inside linebackers because the inside linebackers coach, Gene Richardson, is kind of a legend around here. He's been doing this for like 30 years and he's like the most intense dude on the sideline, ton of personality. But I was told by other coaches there, they were like, you need to sit in on his meetings because of how specific he gets and just how good he is at it. And so I'm in his office, and for the purposes of this podcast, I might, well, I don't know that I'll throw up pictures because it's got formations and stuff like that in it, but so I don't want to give anything away. But, Clay Chalkville is that navy and white and those kind of colors. Well, Gene is a Pennsylvania guy and a Penn State guy, and he's got like posters all over it. Like his walls are covered, and there's like a method to the madness. Like he has one spot left, and he's like, I'm saving this spot for this. Like he has a plan for what goes where. And you're looking at everything on the walls, and it's all Clay Chalkville stuff. And then there's one that's a Penn State thing, and it blends in because it looks the exact same. He's like, "Did you notice my Penn State stuff?" And I was like, "No," because it looked exactly the same like everything else. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, I, I don't think you could figure that one out unless it had like the giant Penn State or like "We Are."
In my defense, it's slightly behind his door, so he kind of had to open it a little. But if he would have, I mean, his door was shut, so I could have noticed it. But if he would have just been like, it was like, "Where's Waldo?" If he would have been like, "Where's the Nittany Lion in the room?" I'd have been like, "I don't know, I can't figure that out. Not in here. There's too much navy, too much white. Just it was cool sitting in on one of those things. What do you do in practice?
I take photos mostly, and then kind of put away some notes and stuff for the year. Just because we'll preview. We've previewed almost all the teams. We're gonna preview almost all the teams.
Yeah.
All the teams I listed there either have a preview already done or in the works. So
Yeah.
I have to finish 3 of them up over the next week. But yeah, I take notes and just like that, stuff like that. I was gonna say I have sat in on some of those meetings because last year, Coach Brooks at Sardis, he allowed me to like shadow him for the whole game day from like right after school let out and through like an hour post game. I got the ability to shadow him, so I've sat in on those meetings. And it's interesting because it's like a lot of like I've grown up watching football, playing football video games. I write about it for a living. And then you realize like there's so much stuff that like these coaches are a completely different level than even avid fans, and it's just impressive to see.
It's wild. Like again, I'm not gonna put a picture up of that whiteboard, but like I asked him, like it's one of those, it's massive whiteboard. Like it's not your math teacher's whiteboard, it's huge. And I'm like, and Gene specifically, like he's probably about, I don't know, we're probably about the same height. I don't know, 5'11", something like that. And I'm sitting there looking, and I'm like, if I took a marker and like went to the very top and I'm trying to write up there, I don't think I can reach it. So I think he's got to have like a step stool in there or something to write on the top, because every corner of that board was taken. And I asked him, I was like, how long does it take you to do all this? Like, how often are you writing all this stuff? And it was like, he's got like one quote for the year in the top corner that he keeps up there for the season. Like last year he had a quote there. This year he's already got a quote there. And then he's like, everything else, it'll change, like based on what we're doing. He's like, it'll change for when we get to August, week 1, and we play Hueytown. He's like, the whole board will change. And I mean, I can't explain how long it must have taken just to do all that. Like, have you seen the meme of Bart Simpson having to write on the like chalkboard? Like that, like that's what it reminded me of, where it was like corner to corner, the whole thing was full. It's just, you're right though. Like just such like, people don't realize what all goes into it for these guys and how insanely detailed they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a play sheet somewhere in my backpack from yesterday too. They were like, here, they gave me a sheet for the day for the OTA against Austin, and they were like, you can kind of follow along. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, this might as well be trigonometry. Yes, like I got no idea
Yeah.
what I'm looking at. There,
It's like,
no idea.
and there's some coaches that like Jeremy Pruitt at Plainview. He's an assistant there under his dad, and just like I stood behind him. I was on the Plainview sideline for like I think 2 games now,
Mhm.
and to watch, to hear, and just see everything like
Yeah.
he understands the game. I mean, obviously, former SEC head coach, defensive coordinator, all that, but like the way he understands the game, he was shouting out stuff, and you're like, okay. And then you watch it, and it's like, oh, okay, he actually just sees like 10 seconds into the future at this point. Like that's what it feels like because it's just like
Yeah.
he's like, watch for the slant, and you're like, and then boom, it happens, and it's like it was just another level. It's like you're saying that calling it a master program in football might be a disservice
Yeah.
to that. It was probably a doctoral, or if there was something even higher than doctoral, it'd be that. It was just like. It was just like it was amazing to watch because he basically knew everything. And
Wow.
there's other coaches like that, but that's just one level I saw. And it's just like I don't think fans really understand how much
Yeah.
coaches know more than like I mean we've devoted our lives to it, but like the jump between me and a coach is
Yeah.
just
It's
it's huge.
crazy. It's crazy. And I've never like I've never spent as much time with any team as like so far this summer. Like, yeah, I'd stop by every now and then kind of thing, go check in on this team, write something for like a preview kind of thing, whatever. And I'm like, just the teams themselves, like how crazy summer has gotten. It's like they do the spring practice, play a spring game if you choose. You get like a week break and then summer starts. And it's like however many days they get, but it's like I think Clay Chalkville maybe goes like 3 days a week or something. But then you have 7-on-7 tournaments you go to. You part of your deal is OTAs. Like Austin came to Clay Chalkville yesterday. They're going to go to Hoover. Hillcrest is going to come up here. Like I said, all the 7-on-7 tournaments, and then like I've told these guys, some of the guys that I've been getting to know pretty well, like, hey, for the purposes of what I'm working on, like if there's ever a time that I can like work out my schedule or whatever, like to come see y'all if it's not during practice, like if y'all are just doing whatever, and you got my number. And these guys had a day off. It was Sunday actually. It was this past Sunday, and my phone rang at like noon, and it was the quarterback at Clay Chalkville, and he just said, "Hey, me and the guys are going. We found a field. We're gonna go throw. We're actually pulling up there now." He was like, "I just I knew you wanted to have us let you know if there was something you wanted to come to." So he's like, "We're going to throw right now," and it was like 98 degrees, heat of the day. They're doing this all day, almost every day. And then on a Sunday, they're just like going to do it on their own. And I'm like, I don't remember this level of, I mean, I didn't really play high school football, but like, I don't remember this level of commitment like back in the day. These guys, they're different.
Yeah, no, like it's insane. This guy, like I was talking to some coaches, it's I don't think they did a spring, like they didn't do an official spring, but you can still get out there.
Mm-hmm.
You still lifting because most of them do the athletic fourth period. I guess they call it. I think it's technically athletic PE is what it is. I'm not really
Yeah.
sure. I don't really get into the scheduling of academics,
Right.
but like so they do that. So they're lifting. They can lift. I think they can do some other things, but they really can't go out and practice. But you can still run some drills. I think
Yeah.
even out of season. I'm not sure to what extent. I know you cannot put pads on, but like they're
Right.
doing that, they get a few weeks off, maybe right after school, and then like they go all summer 3 times a week. And some programs are having them come in every day. Some are, it just impressive. It's just like people don't realize it is a full year calendar because they start this and they might get a few weeks off right after the season, but half the kids are playing basketball or they're getting ready for
Yeah.
baseball or soccer or whatever other sport they play. And it's like just to realize it's a full year commitment. And I don't think it was a full year commitment when I was in high school. Now, when I was in Maryland, no offense to Maryland, but high school football in
Well,
Maryland was
different.
not it. Lacrosse was the sport in Maryland. Like that was like
Yeah.
the big sport. Still is. But
Yeah.
like high school football, I mean, like we went on Friday nights and stuff, but it was like an afterthought. Especially at
Yeah.
my school, we sucked.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how it was for me in high school. Like when you said like that full time thing, like there's a kid on this year's team that I've been getting to know. He's the kicker, and like most like 90 something percent of high school football kickers, he's a soccer guy first. And that's how he is. And like, I'm realizing how like even more so how lonely of a job it is to be the kicker on a team. Cause like, especially at the high school level, chances are if you do have one, you certainly don't have a second. And so he's just kind of like, while they run through drills and stuff, he's trying to like find a spot to kick. And if he does get to go work on some, put the tee up and kick some field goals, if a drill moves into his area, he's got to go. And there was one day I was talking to him and he was like, I'm leaving practice early today. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. He was like, and I didn't ask him why, but he told me why. He was like, I've got to go to soccer practice after this. So I'm like, wait a minute. School is like basically out. I think this was in May. I'm like, school's basically out. You're doing like the spring football thing. You're at football practice. You're lifting. You're doing all that. You're going to football practice, and then you're immediately going from football practice to club soccer practice. And I'm like, these guys don't have like, because I've tried to ask several of them just in the reporting part of this, like, what do you do outside of football and school? Like what's fun, right? And all of them
Video
are like,
games.
yeah, like if they're that's it. They're like, if I'm not at school or at football, I'm either playing video games or I'm asleep. They're like, that's it. And I'm like, well, that's nice. I'd like to be
Yeah.
16 again.
Yeah, I would. Like the only worries. I think when I was 16, the worries in my world were school, the part-time job I had, video games, and trying to find a girlfriend.
That's it. That is it, man.
And yeah, like I don't even think sleep was a priority. It was like, oh, I'll sleep when I sleep. Like, but yeah, I
Yeah.
think that was like the four priorities in my life as a teenager.
Oh yeah. Because there was another one of those kids. It was like we were scheduled to have like a phone interview like after practice one day. Like it was like a couple hours after practice. He was like, if I don't answer, I'll call you back. It's because I've got my phone on like do not disturb and I'm asleep. And I was like, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We're sleeping. I'm like, oh, that must be nice.
Yeah,
Get it in while you can before you're an adult.
yeah,
Sheesh.
that's a yeah. Because now it's like some of these practices, because I'm sure you know, like they all go at like 7 a.m.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's like, and I live a bit outside the area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not horribly outside, but just like,
Yeah.
especially like going up to Sand Mountain, it's over an hour drive
It's a
sometimes.
drive. Yeah.
And like, so I gotta get up at like before dawn to get out there. And I get why they do it early because it gets hot. Like, ooh,
Yeah.
that
Yep.
Collinsville did it in the evening at like 5 o'clock, and I got there a little early and standing out in the sun. Oh, this was Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
so it was like 98 ish. It was brutal.
With
It was
say with a feels like of probably like 106 or something like
yeah.
that.
Like the good news is, just the way the field is, like there's a tree line, like a thick
Oh,
tree
that's
line on the thing.
nice.
So like once the sun set, it got manageable, but
Yeah.
because of the humidity, it like didn't ever drop off. Or like if it was less weight, even like 50% humidity, it would have been like a perfect evening of
Yeah.
football. And like Collinsville, like you're overlooking Lookout Mountain, like
Hmm.
and from the city, so it's just been like perfect views. But then it's like
Wow.
95 degrees at like 6 o'clock at night, and you're like, oh,
Oh my gosh. I always like there was a time where I covered Fultondale a little bit, like way back in the day, like when Ardarius Stewart was still there before he went to Alabama. And
Oh,
there's just like some freelance stuff for the Birmingham News. And theirs was cool because, like, I mean, it was like 2A football. So it was like, I like the lower level, like something about it feels cool, like at the small schools. And theirs was so built like down into this almost like just down a hill, like in almost like a valley, and it was completely tree lined as well. And I wish Clay Chalkballs was like that because every time I every time I go out there so far this summer, I'm like, here we go. It's going to be 95 degrees at 10 a.m. and there's going to be no escaping it. Like
yeah.
literally no escaping it. It's awful.
The hottest times I've been at this job has been at Gadsden City Field. I don't know if you've ever been.
Yep.
My first like I think like the week after I started my job, there's a 7v7 there, which was nice because I got to meet a bunch of coaches for the first time
Oh
there.
yeah.
But it's like mid-June, I'm sorry, like late June. Like honestly, something tells me it was like 2 years ago today. It
Today.
honestly might have been 2 years ago today. Like it might have been June 27th. That sounds right in my head. And it was so hot. Like I was sweating. And then the other time is when Drake Patrick committed to Bama like 2 months later, a month and a half later. My
Yeah.
phone, which I'm using as the hotspot to run my compute to so I can publish the news, the story, it overheats, so the
Yeah.
hotspot is gone.
Yes.
So I lose it,
Oh
and I'm
my
like trying to like
gosh.
cool down my phone, and I'm like blowing on it. Like I couldn't get it cold enough,
Oh my
and like
gosh.
we're on that field and we're baking because it's the
Yeah.
turf. It just
Yes.
there's
The
no
turf is. Yeah.
it just there's no trees. It's because it's one of the bigger stadiums, and it's
Yeah.
just baking.
I still don't know if these people were lying to me, but I covered this thing. It was at Hoover, and they didn't play at the Met. It was actually at Hoover High School at their field in 2014, maybe. Yeah, because like it was one of those like ESPNU showcase things. Clay Chalkville played there. Niceville, Florida came up and played them, and I forget who else played. There was like 2 or 3 games that day, but they did it on a Saturday, and it was on
Uh-huh.
ESPNU. And I remember like the whole setup's crazy. It's turf. It was August. It's a billion degrees, but I think the like temperature gauge they had on the field said it was like 120 degrees on the field or something like that.
Yeah,
And
I believe that.
and this is the part I believe it too, but the part I don't know if I believe was there were some people saying like if they stood in one place long enough, like on like where the paint was, like on the turf, that it was like they said their like bottom of their shoes were starting to like melt a little bit, and I was like, I think I feel like you're probably lying, but it was hot enough to where you could have melted something.
I don't know, I see it, people talk about it on TikTok.
Do they? I'm not
A
on
little bit.
TikTok,
I've seen like
so
3 videos, and I don't even know if it was like high school football or just like summer in Alabama stuff.
yeah.
I don't know, like how hot. Like I don't know that. I'm not a scientist. I don't know how hot it has to be. Like I can tell you this: my shoes have never melted, and I've been pretty hot on a football field.
Yeah, that's the hottest I've been. I just, after I heard it, I mean, during a game too, if you're not in the press box, if you're on the sidelines, it's like my feet are going to be moving anyway, so I'll just keep moving and hope for the best. But who else you gotta? Have you gone to everywhere that you need to go
No,
to for previews?
I haven't gone into Etowah County yet. My plan, I'm
Okay.
starting to hit that when we get back after the 4th. It's just kind of um easier to run those in like mid July through the start like mid August, just because
Yeah.
that's when the interest is ramping up and stuff like that. And
Yep.
those are 10 focus school. Those are, I'm
Yeah.
trying to word this right. Well, I mean, with the Gadsden Times, we cover Etowah County. I guess this is the best way to
Yeah.
put. Like,
It's your
it's our
most
main.
hyper local. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll start running I think the week of July 14th. I think is what I planned. I'm not really
Okay.
sure, but
Well, What are you putting in your previews? Is it mostly like just who's returning, like schedule stuff? What do you kind of do?
No, so like I mean, we'll start dropping position preview, like position rankings going into the season here soon.
Okay.
If you are one of my coaches hearing this, please respond to the email. Um,
There you go. I'll flash your email up across this right here.
but so that will do more of that, and like schedules, I'm typing them. It takes time to type them all, but
Yes.
for that, really, like I'll just say, like for Fife, what I mine was more focused on. They lost Logan Anderson and Tucker Wilkes, two of the best players to go through that
Yeah.
program, but also leadership wise, two of the most important players. And even without Logan last year, they still on the field. They had him off the field. He was on there. He could coach them up
Yeah.
and stuff. But just how do you replace them on and off the field? Collinsville story was they've had a group of skill players who have been playing since like ninth grade, eighth grade, and now they're all mainly juniors. And it's like what this youth movement that we've heard about in this area since I
Mhm.
arrived 2 years ago, and I'm sure even before that, has finally become the upperclassmen.
Yeah.
Can they go? What can they do? And they seem ready for these expectations that are placed on them. So it's more stuff like telling a story than, hey, here's their schedule. Like, because you can go
Yes.
Google that, and if you look up
Thank you.
college football schedule, there's 10 results that come up with the schedule.
Yes. I like that
Um,
so much better.
and I like to be able to tell a story like for some of our teams. I'll just say for some of the teams, it's hey, the coach is entering year three, which is usually what we view as which is viewed as like the make it or break it year,
Sure.
or even year two, like what is the expectation? Sometimes it's stuff like that. But yeah,
Okay. Who's looking who do you think out of your coverage area who's going to be the best team regardless of classification to cover? Who looks the best, do you think?
Gadsden City, and I know it's an easy answer because they're 6A and they're usually good. Um, they return a lot. They lost some key pieces, especially on defense.
Yeah.
But I think, but they return Zion. They return a lot of the secondary there.
Okay.
So and like
Always
they
a
have
good
some scattered
secondary
pieces.
there.
I just say, yeah. I mean, they've always had since that school was formed. I mean, just look at the
Yeah.
legacy of who they've sent out to the next level, and Zion
Yeah.
Gibson is the next one. And so I think they will always they always look good. Southside, I just don't know. They lost some really key pieces, especially on the offensive line, led by Jamin Brown, who's now at Duke. So those
There's
two should probably be well.
there's
Looking,
another Brown on that offensive line, isn't
he
there?
is, and he's bigger than his brother. I don't know, like that. And he is not afraid to tell his brother that, from what I've learned. I also say the smallest. I am like 6'2", big guy. Um, I have never felt smaller than standing next to Jamin and Rance Brown. For like, I think they're
Wow.
like 6'7" and 6'9",
That's so
or something
crazy.
like that. They're both like 6'7" plus. I've never felt smaller. I'm like looking up
Yes.
at them, talking to them, and it's like I've never felt smaller. Getting down to
Mm,
lower classifications, Kuza Christian should be good again.
yeah.
Just some we don't really know what's going to happen with them. Um, I I mean, there's a court hearing that's going to be heard before the season, but I like there's really been no official word on if the
What was the issue with
um
that? Was it some sort of ineligible stuff or what?
so a player trained under one of the coaches like outside of it, but then transferred into the program,
Okay.
and then he played. Um, there's some stuff on the wording of the rule and interpretation of the rule, but for now
Yeah,
they're going to be ineligible. I don't know if that stands.
I see that.
I'm gonna say the legal side of this is I don't fully understand it. Plus, there's
Yeah,
just not a lot known about it, so that's going to be a big
yeah,
question mark.
yeah. I
But if
see.
they're
I
able to
see.
play in the playoffs, they are a team that could win a state title.
Yeah. So I saw that they had already lost two appeals and they forfeited 5 games last year and placed
Mm-hmm.
on a postseason ban through the end of this year, 2025.
Yes,
Wow.
they can get back the Central Board of Control hearing or
Mm,
Central Board of Control hearing. They can make another appeal. according to documents or like something, if Mark O'Brien is not the coach, which from everything I've heard, he is going to coach. Um, but they could possibly get back, but it wasn't even a definite on that, I don't think.
Yeah,
But it's the big question mark in the area is what happens with that case, I think.
that's
But
interesting.
if they can, if they're eligible for postseason play, they are, I think, the favorites in 2A.
Yeah,
Um,
they definitely have a chip on their shoulder.
especially in the North, Pisgah should still be good, but they lost a lot of key pieces. Tuscaloosa
Yeah,
Academy lost Preston Lancaster.
yeah.
I'm sure both of them will still be good. They've been good for years, but both of them have lost their key quarterbacks.
I think
And Q's lost
TA
theirs too.
TA had a guy transfer out too, didn't they? Like was it a receiver? I'm
That's an
speaking
Anna
out of
Snyder question. Hey, that's an Anna
that's an
Snyder
Anna
question.
Snyder question. I think that oh no, I'm speaking out of my rear right now. I don't know, but I thought I saw maybe one of their guys who was left maybe transferred out to a bigger school, and I don't even know where. I don't know. It's impossible to
um,
keep up with who goes where these days.
I've stopped. I've
It's not worth it. We'll just wait on the new Dragonfly rule with the little T for transfer, and we'll wait for those official rosters before week 1, and then we'll know.
and I will say that's I'm a little confused how this dragonfly things will work. Half the time when we try to look up a roster for photos so we can put names to the photos, they're incomplete.
Oh yeah,
And that's not
yeah,
just in Gadsden, like that's all across the state.
that's
You have that
everywhere.
issue,
That's
and
everywhere. Yes,
I'm sure if there's another state that uses dragonfly, I'm sure the reporters in that state are saying the same thing.
fact.
Um, but I'll say one thing you can like.
You know how hard it was to get a roster in rural Mississippi 15 years ago?
You had to get the coach to somehow email it to you.
No, he just put it in my mailbox. Like, not my email box, my physical mailbox.
Oh, yeah, no.
There wasn't much emailing going on over in rural Mississippi.
That vibe is fair. I'd say it is now at least like a lot of the coaches, at least in my area, will have it
Yeah,
done. And I can get it from most of them, if
yeah,
not, but
yeah. That's partly like, I'm ready for the season, even though I'm covering like the one team all year. But like, a bunch of guys I'm learning have changed jersey numbers, like for different reasons. Like I don't think it's like a captain kind of thing. I think honestly part of it is why I'm so interested in doing this project is a lot of guys are changing based on like legacy tradition stuff. Like DJ Dale that played at Alabama.
yeah.
Okay, he was a Clay Chalkville guy. D lineman, wore number 5. Clay Chalkville's kind of next D lineman up in that conversation, Colton McIntyre. I've had him on the podcast recently. He wore number 96 last year, and this year he's going to wear number 5. Part of that kind of tradition, but like at practice he'll still be wearing 96. I can't remember if I think he wore number 5 in the spring game, but now he's back to 96 in practice, and I'm like, I need to start putting, because sometimes like you can't get to know everybody on a team, and you kind of need that number to correspond to your roster so that you know who in the world you're looking at or talking to.
And then even that, they're wearing face masks. I am
True.
out people I'm like, oh, that's what you look like because I only
Yes.
see him in a face mask.
Like I need that because I can't get to know 95 kids individually. Like I stuck my foot directly in my mouth recently. It was after practice, and I can't remember. I'm not going to use names anyway because I wouldn't want to embarrass them. But like, there was a kid standing there, and I went to talk to him, and I thought he was Kid A, and so I asked him. I was like, "Are you Kid A?" And he was like, and he looked at me and he went like, "No, I'm Kid B." And I was like, "My bad." I was just like, I had no idea. I was like, I'm trying. I don't know.
Who do you have for state title picks?
Oh God. What classification?
I guess I'll start with 7A. I think it's Thompson again.
Let's see.
Oh no, we'll
Uh,
put that out probably. I probably have to get like an exact thing by August, but
let
I
me
mean obviously by August.
let me look.
But I was like
Uh,
thinking about this on the way earlier today while driving, and I'm like, I don't know. Like in 4A is Jackson again. I don't think anyone's gonna.
Jackson. Yeah.
I mean that.
Uh, okay. Here's what I'll go. So you went Thompson in 7A.
Yeah,
So I don't feel bad. I won't feel as bad this year since I'm covering one team. Like I said, uh, I think it's Hoover.
I think Hoover is probably two. I could see
I,
it being Thompson versus
yeah.
Hoover with the
I
new
think
7A.
that
They could play it. I think.
in that new setup with with how they're matching up in the playoffs, that will be interesting. I just think Hoover's. I mean, it's hard to go against Thompson because Seaborn's back for his like 19th season of high school football,
Yeah,
and because
talk about youth.
he's been playing varsity since like third grade or whatever. No, but and then he's got some receiver or tight end type there now that's like I forget his name, but is like really tall, massive target. And then you've got
That's always a good friend to have.
you've got Pritchett on the defensive side who's so good. So I'm gonna go. I still like Hoover.
I honestly, I mean, it will come out of that region. I think it's Thompson Hoover.
Either that or
Um,
Region Two. I think Phoenix City or Auburn or somebody
and I
can
don't know
match.
much down there.
I don't either.
Um, I mean, I'm very much a North Alabama guy. Just because,
That's tough for 7A.
yeah, and then yeah,
Or it
I do
has
think
been.
Albertville will be better this year. If we're going to talk about
Yeah.
North with Wingard, he has a bunch of stops, but six
Let's
A,
see.
I don't know. 6A,
This is,
Parker's obviously a favorite, but I think Clay Chalkville should be back. I'm sure that's your pick.
I'm trying to look right now. I'm looking at some recent power rankings that our buddy Courtside Bank put out here because
Uh,
he's been putting out some of that fodder lately. He's got Clay Chalkville 1, Saraland 2, Parker 3, Oxford 4. Like
I think
I'm
Saraland will be good, but like, and
yeah.
maybe just I just don't know who's next. But like they've
They've got
lost,
they
like
have, but
they
they
lost the senior class that kind of got them to this level. And my question always with that is,
you
what's
don't know
next?
what you
This
don't know
is
what you don't know.
this is kind of the make or break point. I think with them is like, can this next group keep it up? And you see that
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. I
And if
think
this group can keep it up, then like Saraland's probably the next dynasty, one of the next dynasties in the area, in the
yeah.
state. But you can get a good run, especially when you have two Mr. Football. I guess two guys who
Mhm.
won three straight Mr. Footballs.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, so
the talent's always been there. Just now, who is behind them, and that just I don't. I
yeah.
mean, I'm sure there's probably people in Saraland who know that answer, but like
Yeah,
once again, you don't know until they get into these games, especially maybe
for sure.
and we might not even know until the playoffs, really, just because
Oh yeah.
you don't know
Test.
how a
Yeah.
kid's going to react until they get. And I hate using this expression, but it's the one we use: punch in the face.
Mhm. Yeah. So
So
I think the teams I would watch for me in 6A, like beyond like I mean, there's the obvious ones, but like I think Clay Chalkville's right there. Probably a top 2 or top 3 team. Yeah, Saraland, probably Parker. I'll be curious about Oxford because like, Mims is gone, but you got a new Mims in, still got talent, receiver. I don't know a bunch about Pike Road. The team I really want to see a lot of is Benjamin Russell because they've got
oh,
it's like you've got Morgan, that incredible wide receiver. You've got some new guys who have come in. Kirk Johnson's now the head coach. There's a
you got. I
lot of
think I'm correct. The quarterback from Catholic came
yeah,
over.
Kingston. Yeah, he's like a
Kingston, yeah, I was
class of
trying to remember his name.
he's like a class of 28 kid. So he's got like
I think he's
two
a
or three more
sophomore.
years. Yeah. So he was really good for Catholic. So he's already got a state title. And now, he's going to move into 6A ball. But what I'd be curious about with Benjamin Russell, and again, I haven't been down there. Coach Johnson knows I haven't been down there. But like, they've got that kind of flash where it's like you've got a new head coach, you've got some guys that have come in, you've got the big time wide receiver. What I want to know from them is what do you have in the trenches? And they probably are fine, but like if you can't if you can't protect or on the other side get to the quarterback,
Yeah.
you might have issues. But I don't know what they've got. But that's what I'd look for from them is what they look like in the trenches. And then I
And
think
I will
Muscle
say this,
Shoals,
6A, people act
yeah,
like 6A is a skill thing. It is. You got to have good skill guys,
yeah,
but 6A, 7A, those games are won. I mean, every level they are. But if you have
sure.
a really good back in 2A, he can kind of negate a little bit.
Mhm.
But those games are really won in the trenches. And that I do
Oh
agree.
yeah,
Like, that'll be interesting to see, especially because sometimes we talk about a year one boost. I think there's really like the first 2 years of the boost
Mhm.
because sometimes it takes time for that a new culture to be set
Yeah,
and just scheme like how much can they
Mhm.
digest. These are high school kids. Say it,
yeah,
football's important, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot more things that they have to take in than even a college athlete or definitely a pro athlete that are more important because I mean we all know the statistics, like I think it's what 90+% never play again.
right.
It's like these kids, they're learning algebra and U.S. history and all that, and like chemistry and English lit or whatever. So it's like
Yeah.
they got a lot. So like, how much scheme can they get in 1 year? Now he got there pretty early, so I think
Oh
Benjamin
yeah,
Russell correct it. So I think like that's
he
a little
did.
negated than a guy who gets hired in even March or
Yeah.
later.
Oh yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
I think that's something. And you guys say Muscle Shoals.
Muscle Shoals, they're always pretty solid. We'll see what they
I
bring
think
back.
the North, like talking north of Birmingham, Muscle Shoals and Gadsden City are probably the two teams. But
Mhm.
I say that my thing is, I said this last year too. A North Alabama team has not come into Birmingham
Mhm.
and won a game, maybe here and there, but not in the playoffs. Notably in the playoffs, at least since I got to Gadsden.
Yeah.
Probably happened before. I'm not saying it's not.
Sure.
Never say
Probably in
never,
the past.
and it could happen this year. But it's one of those things that's hard to bet against when the 6A power is very much Mobile in Birmingham. It's hard to
Yeah,
bet against that area right now. Those two areas.
for sure. Let's see. 5A. Is there
Moody,
anybody? Well, yeah, Moody. Is
Moody,
there
and
anybody?
Catholic. I think Catholic continues. Um,
Viger?
yeah, they're down there. Yeah, but I think Catholic will continue what they've been doing. It just that program was seems so consistent where I don't think, and this is not a knock on, this is actually a testament to what Kirk built there. Well, I think
Yeah.
it is one of those things where the way he built it, it seems like it's a program that's going to be able to last even with him out there. Because I think,
Yeah. I hope so because
and
he's I've had him on the podcast a couple times and then sat in on that when they beat Moody in that post game presser and stuff. Like he told some story one time, the first time I had him on the podcast, and he was talking about the culture kind of thing, kind of like what you're talking about, like built to last, and how parents would come for the like we've already talked about how crazy these morning workouts are for players. And like they would invite parents and parents would show up and that's where they would work out too in the mornings and they'd just be working out with their kids. And I was like, maybe it happens everywhere, but I was like, I have never heard of something like that. Like I can't imagine being like a 17-year-old defensive end and like my dad's doing deadlifts beside me at 7 a.m. at the facility. I was like, what?
but I will. I mean, I've heard of like dad nights and mom nights of like during
Mm-hmm.
summer where they invite
But
like all
like
the
one
dads
night.
out,
Yeah.
and I don't even think they're lifting during that. Like, you might have the dad like hopping drills and like. I remember I went to one at Sardis and I think they did some, and then they kind of just someone was grilling or they had food,
Yeah.
forget how where the food came from, but the food was there, and then they kind of just ate and hung out afterwards. Um,
Yeah.
but like, imagine though if your dad comes out there and like outlifts you, and you didn't know your dad could outlift you.
Get out.
It's like, actually, yeah, you need to like, because you
Man,
gotta know, like, some dad out there is like trash talking his son during that would have been trash talking his son during that session.
that's so funny. Yeah, so yeah, 5A's I will say just because I'm slightly biased because I really like this place, but I think Briarwood Christian's probably going to surprise some people again. I think 5A is kind of their, they've been back up at 6A. I think 5A is their sweet spot, and I think they're going to be a team. Corner, do you get to see Corner at all? Is that close at all?
No,
No,
no, and I
they were good
kind of forget
last
they're now
year.
in five. I forget they're now in five because I think they were in four when I started, and sometimes
What about Boas?
like I think they'll be good. I just think they kind of lost a lot of seniors where there's a lot of new faces, and I
Okay,
mean they got Luke Pruitt, so I don't think there's a huge difference. And I mean, like, it's a new coach, obviously, but like
yeah,
Sullivan was a good coach. Pruitt's one. They're both two of the best coaches in North Alabama, I'd say. So like, I
yeah,
don't think it's anywhere on that front. But they just, I mean, a lot of people graduated. They had a really
yeah.
impactful senior class, and the
Mm,
question is how well I haven't gotten up there yet, so I don't fully know that answer.
sure.
But I think it's just the same question of anyone who loses a bunch of seniors is what's
Yeah,
next? Who's
right.
next?
How about this? Well, because you mentioned this team earlier. Okay, in 4A, for you, like there's Jackson, there's St. Michael. What is the gap between those two and the Cherokee County? Is it a big gap? Small gap? It's a big gap
Talent
for
wise,
Jackson.
no, but I don't think they're. And I was, but it trying to figure this out because like St.
It's hard.
Michael's and Jackson are. I mean, there's no argument they have the best two quarterbacks possibly in the state.
Yeah,
Two of the best. I mean, I guess there's Seaborn and Thompson and a few others that I'm
yeah. But
probably my mind
yeah, I mean,
is
regardless
blanking.
of regardless of classification, Duckworth and Rivers are elite.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, definitely the two best in 4A. But and Jackson just so loaded because I mean they have the running back who just committed to Bama. Um, and
He
I think they have the
worried me. He
receiver.
worried me at that announcement. He went to that Auburn hat first, and I was like, "Oh no!" And then he moved
I
his
didn't
way
see the
over.
announcement. I don't know. I think I was making dinner. I just saw Colin, our writer Colin was down there and he tweeted about it.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, it's hard not to think the gap is big after what we saw. But I also will say, I think it's just, I don't know if it's just I don't know.
it's
I don't know that answer because also Cherokee County's has some different faces this year. I mean, even Jackson will have some different
yeah
faces in other spots. So it's hard to say, especially when we haven't seen anyone play a game yet.
Cherokee.
Yeah, I think it's just different. I think the problem is like it's different styles. Jackson will spread you out, but Cherokee County and even St. Michael's, I think, spreads you out a little more. It relies
Yeah,
on athleticism, where Cherokee County is very much like a grind team. They'll run it. They like to run the ball a lot and they like to use it.
yeah. Well, it looks like I don't know. It looks like 3A might be your kind of sweet spot. Like for a lot of, I mean, like Piedmont, what Fife, Geraldine, Gordo.
Yeah, Gordo is down in Anna's area, but I do know a bit.
Well, yes,
Um, I think Geraldine is probably a team to watch there. They only lost to Morris Hill Bible by one in the third round. Piedmont's another team to watch, obviously.
yeah,
Fife, just some question marks. Um, but I think it's probably Geraldine, Morris Hill Bible, and Piedmont to watch in the north. I don't really
okay,
know who to watch from the south. I think Montgomery Academy, they're a 3A team.
yeah.
They returned that quarterback, McBride, I think's his name,
PR,
who's
yeah.
He
I
was
was just gonna
stellar
say,
last year.
yeah, I was just gonna say T.R. Miller. That
Yeah, I think,
school.
and then like Houston Academy made the state title game, but they did lose both Proctor and Glover, who kind of were the two big players. Not, I mean, they probably could get back. And just it's hard to replace that type of talent,
And
especially at a 3A school. I mean, it's not easy to do.
no, you're right.
Um, a 3A private school to say, I believe they're a private school. So like a 3A private school
Yeah,
has a little less numbers than that. So it's a little harder to pull numbers
yeah,
like that.
yeah. Then yeah, we already talked about Coosa Christian,
Yeah. 2A,
Pisgah 2A. Yeah.
I'll be honest, if Kuzit isn't eligible, I don't know who comes out of the North.
Oh wow.
Um, I think it's just a toss up just because Pisgah could do it, TA could do it. Trying to
Wow.
think who else there is.
Where is Reeltown? They're down, right?
They're down. They're down. They might be the favorite if Kuza
Yeah.
isn't eligible. I think Reeltown could be the favorite. They've been there the last few years.
Highland Home,
Um,
Cottonwood.
yeah, I mean those are probably the favorites from the South.
South.
I think who was in it last year? Was it Reeltown?
2A
It was
championship.
Yeah, it was TA and who won it though? Reeltown. I think it was
Uh,
Reeltown.
yeah, Reeltown beat the snot out of Tuscaloosa Academy.
Yeah, and I think Reeltown like they were there. I don't know if they've lost anyone because they were there 2 years ago against Fife,
Five,
but
yeah.
Logan Anderson ran for like a jillion yards against them.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, here's the thing: he ran for a gajillion yards against anybody.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's see.
he was a
Yeah,
man on a mission.
yeah, 2023 Reeltown. Yeah, lost by 19 points to Fife.
Yeah, which for Fife is a blowout.
Yeah,
They just don't run up the
they just
score,
right.
especially because of that offense. One
Yeah,
A, I don't know. I have no 1A is always kind of
yeah. I got.
Leroy should probably be there. Wadley, I think, returns a lot of people. And who doesn't like that little triple option with the
They just won it, didn't they? Did they win it this last time?
yeah, oh yeah. And they had this like 6'6" kid, I think, or something like that. No one could tackle. I don't remember if he's a I don't remember what year he's in.
I don't know.
But I think like Spring Garden, they lost a lot. They should compete well. They've been one of the most consistent teams, I think, in the North. They haven't really
Yeah.
gone to a state title, but year in, year out, they're a third round team, give or take. Pickens County, probably they're one of those other teams that's just very consistent no matter who is there. Um,
Oh man, yeah. I'm looking at some of these teams. You know how you mentioned Gordo just like straight rip the Green Bay Packers. Well, Georgiana did the same thing. They just turned it blue.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like I'll say this: we can go any team that starts with a G at the high school football level. Most likely, either looks like the Georgia logo or the Green Bay Packers logo,
Yep,
and they change the colors. I
that
mean,
is a fact.
I don't blame them. I
No,
don't think either of those organizations are like really copywriting teams for it. In part probably because you don't want to be like the NFL team trying to copyright a small high school football team. I just
yeah,
don't think that you probably don't win the war of public opinion in that.
no.
But yeah, no, some of these teams very much. It's like I believe you could go buy Gordo merch on the Green Bay Packers store and have it just like the G. I think you could wear it and no one would be
Yeah,
like. I don't think if even people in Gordo would be able to tell.
I don't
There,
think so.
I honestly feel like there's got to be someone in Gordo who just gets Green Bay Packers gear
Yep.
as
Let's
the
see.
merch.
Absolutely. Let's get off high school and start wrapping this. But I'm curious because you are wearing the hat, and I always get excited, like beyond excited for this. But how big of a Ryder Cup guy are you?
I'm very excited for the Ryder Cup. I love it. Um, I think I think America wins this year. I mean,
At
uh,
Bethpage.
at Bethpage, um, and all that, but like the way Scotty's playing, the way Xander's playing, I just think also I say Europe probably has been hurt more from Live than USA. Like they're and
Yeah.
also a lot of like the guys you think of the last 20 years who has led Europe because they've been a little more consistent with who they take each year. Like there's
Yep.
all old guys. Like Sergio's not coming, and then
Yeah.
even somehow if he makes the team, he's not the Sergio of 10 years ago when he won the Masters, which is almost weird to say. I was in like high school when he won the Masters. So I guess not 10 years ago, but like that was like 8 years ago that he won the Masters. I'm now realizing.
That Sergio won the Masters?
Yeah, yeah, he
What
did.
year
You
was
know,
No, no, I know he won. I was just trying to remember what 2017. Yeah.
so well, yeah, I mean, like 8 years ago that he won the Masters. Um, but like I just don't know. Like, and obviously they Europe's got their guys. They got Rom, who is I think coming into form. Obviously they have Roy. They have Ludwig. Um, I was like, I'd like the USA to maybe take a younger guy or two that we know for a fact will be on the Rome team. Not
Yeah.
Rome, they were in Rome. Sorry, going to Ireland in 2 years.
Right,
But I
right.
just don't know who is playing at that level.
Let's see. I'm looking at the rankings right now for
Because
America.
like if you're talking about like really young guys, it's Dunlap, but he's not been playing absolutely great.
Oh,
Like he
okay.
has that driver issue.
You talking about
Um,
you talking about Nick Dunlap?
yeah, Nick Dunlap.
Yeah. He's
He's not
no
been playing
shot.
great.
Yeah, no shot.
But
Not
like
this time.
Sahith,
No shot.
Sahith isn't probably
He's been hurt.
he has been hurt. Never mind. But I'm trying to think of other names. It's like you start thinking of
Let's
these names.
see.
It's like who's really going to come?
Let's see. Here's your top 12 guys right now with June, July, August. 3 months until Bethpage, September 23rd through the 28th. We're gonna have to like take off work at some of this. Only during a football season. Easy enough. Uh, Scotty's one, Xander, JJ Spawn for now, Russell Henley, Bryson. Somehow JT is sixth.
I don't understand. Like he's played well, but like he also hasn't really played great. I
Yeah.
think you
So,
got to take him, and I think you got to take him and Spieth.
yeah. So let's see. So 7. Let's see. Morikawa is 7. He's got a lot of drama surrounding him right now. Ben Griffin, maybe that's one of your young guys. He's 8. This is what I'm interested in. Keegan Bradley that just won.
We got you got to take him. You
You
got to
got to
take him.
well, he's got to be a playing captain. He is like I've always been a Keegan fan because I love how fired up he gets and like he's a Boston guy and I'm partial to Boston and him winning the other day like I really want him to play in this thing because I think it would benefit them a lot.
I do agree. I think so.
Man, there's so many guys on the outside. Sam Burns is 15th right now. There's a lot of names that you would expect to be higher that aren't. Cantlay's 14th. I mean, they've got time,
No need
but
to take him.
Spieth is
Like
25th in the Ryder Cup rankings right now.
you need him to show something, but like I think Spieth is the JT of like from 2 years ago, where you kind of have to take Spieth
Yeah,
because you need what Spieth brings off the course. And you
sure.
kind of know if you pair him with JT, those two, I don't know why, but they play great together. Like the
Yeah,
fact that they've never decided to go down to the Zurich and try to see if they can win.
yeah,
And like
yeah.
they both like and like you saw what it did for Rory and
Shane
Lowry
Lowry.
2 years
Yeah,
ago, or I guess in 24. It's like why
mm-hmm.
don't these like they've been struggling. It's like why don't you go down, have fun with your buddy for a week?
Yep,
It's New Orleans. Like how bad of a time can you really have
yeah.
down there?
And that would be super cool because, like, I think if I'm not mistaken, JT started off at Tulane before he transferred to Alabama. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I was like 10 when he started.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I forget. I continue to forget y'all are way younger than me. But
Yeah.
I think he started off at Tulane. But yeah, that would be cool. I wish that tournament was like I wish everybody would play the Zurich just for that kind of format because that is super fun.
Yeah.
Patrick Patrick Reed is 33rd. He can stay out. I don't like that guy at all.
I think I would love to see him make a run for to take
No,
him to Europe in 2 years. Just it's kind of another guy like
he's the villain.
off the course. You kind of need someone to get under their head, into their head, and like. But I think that's like one thing that Spieth and Thomas have kind of like they do well in Presidents Cups. They do well in this.
Yeah,
JT did great with TGL, kind of where you play to the fans a little more. You can play to fans.
yeah,
You play as a team. Um, because like Ryder Cup is team golf, but it's more team golf I think than Live is.
oh
Because Live
yeah,
Golf, you're still playing by yourself. Live Golf is team golf, like how college golf is team golf or high school
sure,
golf. But like Ryder
yeah,
Cup, you actually have to be playing with these guys. You're either playing best ball or a scramble. I mean, there's obviously Sunday singles, but like
hmm
you're playing very much team golf, depending on. And like you see it sometimes with like the manufacturers and stuff get upset because of the golf balls, and you got about. I saw that recently, and it was something I never considered of like if golfer A uses a spinny ball and the other one uses a you know less spinny ball, like they can't play scramble together.
yeah, yeah.
Like, and they got to pick whose ball they're going to use. And there's like sponsorship things, which is I get, but at the same time, like get the sponsorships out of the Ryder Cup. You're trying to win for
Agreed.
national pride. Like, who cares if player A uses Callaway and player
Let
B uses Titleist? And I mean, unless they're like completely different balls and they're looking to do different things, then maybe that's important. But like the brand should not be matter.
Yeah, you hear that, Patrick Cantlay? You can wear the hat.
No, I think he should wear no hat the whole week. I think
I'm, dude. I started looking at now. I found the current rankings for Europe's team, and I'm I'm very concerned that we're going to lose another Ryder Cup, and we're going to lose it at Beth Beach.
well,
There,
like
listen to these current rankings. This is in order. In order. Rory's 1, Tommy Fleetwood 2, Tyrrell Hatton 3, Robert McIntyre 4, Shane Lowry 5, Sepp Straka 6, however you say Hogard's name 7th, Ludwig is 8,
how is he
Justin Rose.
8?
This is what I'm saying. He's 8, Justin Rose is 9, Victor Hovland is 10. Like that's their top 10.
Well, at
John
least their
Rahm,
captain has it easy.
John Rahm, who will be picked as ranked 17th in Ryder Cup points, but you know he's going to be on the team.
Yeah, especially just because it's like the problem is Liv he isn't getting any points on Liv.
No,
But
I'm
like,
I'm worried.
who's their 11
Thomas
and 12?
Dietrich, Thomas Dietrich's 11, and Matt Wallace is 12.
Okay, actually, like, I follow golf pretty consistently, and I don't know those names at all.
I know.
I mean, I heard Dietrich. I've heard
I
Dietrich,
know
but I've
Dietrich. Dietrich's been around a minute. Wallace, I've heard of, but I don't know anything about him.
yeah.
I'm a
What's
bit
also weird with that is
concerned.
like they can definitely like, especially maybe not as much now, but like it used to be that they could bring like DP World Tour guys that you've never heard of
Oh yeah. Oh my
because you get
gosh.
that's how they get a lot of their points.
Yeah, I'm slight. Oof. Once you scroll past Rom, I don't know who anybody is, but I'm yep. I'm officially nervous now for the Ryder Cup. I wasn't before, but now I am.
And I do think that like Bethpage is a good location because it's not a tour stop, so that helps. Where like a lot of times, sometimes I feel like it is a tour stop, and or just a place that people can they play a lot. I don't think they.
Yeah,
I don't know how often tour guys are going to Bethpage.
right.
Like it's not like
Man.
it's a spot down in Florida where they all live. Even the European guys live, and
Yeah.
but like I do think, I mean, it is one of the hardest courses in the
Man.
country.
So let's see.
That's a
So
benefit Europe gets is they're not playing these courses at all, and then I mean most American golfers are not playing link style courses ever.
I'll be curious what Keegan does. Like, one, if he plays, which right now he should, and two, like what him and the captains, like how they pick the team, because it seems like this team has been picked very similarly in the past, and I want, like, with the captain's picks, and I kind of wonder if he'll do things a little different. Like I like the way his vice captain team is formed. So like if Keegan plays, right, and he's got to offload some of the captain responsibilities, like you've got Jim Furyk, who's going to be the elder statesman of the group that you can dump most everything on. And then the other guys, you've got Kevin Kisner, Webb Simpson, Brent Snedeker. So you've got, for the purposes of this, you've got kind of younger guys. I mean, I don't know how old
I
Webb
think there's
is, but
one more spot too, which if Bradley plays, I think you try to get Tiger to come up and hang out for the week.
could you imagine? And then Europe's, I mean, Luke Donald's the captain. Vice captains are Eduardo Molinari, Thomas Bjorn, and Jose Maria Olazabal. And I'm just like, that's a snooze fest. But I don't know. I want fireworks, man. I want to see something different and not just the same old, same old. Man, it's so much fun, though. So much fun. I'm ready for it. All right, let's wrap this up. Tell everybody again where to find all the things.
All my stories, gadsdentimes.com. And then you can find me on Twitter _Max_Donaldson. I think maybe another underscore. From there, there's a link tree in my bio. Like there's a link in the bio there that you can find anything else. But on Instagram, it's Max Donaldson Journ, JOUR, and then on Facebook, it's Maxwell Donaldson -journalist. That's about all where you can find me. But yeah, once again, appreciate you having me on. And
Thank you.
It's great that it's football season again.
Football season again. We'll talk again soon.
See ya.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.